So Quit India movement, you can see from the image, it was a mass movement and all the classes of people used to participate in this movement, and this was a broad-based movement which was started throughout India at the same time. In August 1942, Quit India movement was launched and all the major leaders were arrested. So the government was also afraid of this broad-based movement. As a result, the Congress leaders were arrested and during this movement, and it was started on 9th August 1942, and Second World War was also there simultaneously. So now the Britishers were fighting at the two fronts. They were also trying to control the militant activities during the Quit India movement in India, as well as they were also waging the war in the Second World War. So this was a kind of crisis for the government. The movement went into the hands of the younger leader, and these younger leaders used to be very radical in approach as compared to the older leaders who used to be liberal. So during this moment, a lot of violent activities also took place, radical activities also took place, and they organized strikes and acts of sabotage all over the country. And particularly active in the underground resistance were the socialist members of the Congress, and these socialist members include Jayaprakash Narayan, who was also a socialist leader, and he became very radical in his approach, and he took active participation in the Quit India movement at that time. Now again we will read about the course of the Quit India movement. So what were the main activities which were undertaken during this movement? Independent governments were proclaimed in several districts, especially in Satara, that is in the west, and Midnapur in the east. So Midnapur, that is in Bengal, and Satara, which is in Maharashtra. So these independent governments were proclaimed during the Quit India movement. And Quit India was genuinely a mass movement, bringing into its ambit hundreds of thousands of ordinary Indians. So all the ordinary people were a part of this movement, and it especially energized the youth, who in very large number left their colleges to go to jail. The same way they left their schools and colleges during the movement of non-cooperation as well as the civil disobedience movement. In Quit India movement also, these students and college going boys left going to the colleges, and they left the college and schools and they went to the jail. So a large number of people were imprisoned during this Quit India movement. And if we compare this movement with the other movements, so this was more radical in its approach as compared to the other movements. It was not a non-violent movement at all. In 1943, some of the younger leaders in the Satara district of Maharashtra set up parallel government, and these parallel governments were known as the Prati Sarkar. So these parallel governments were also set up by the people of the Satara district of Maharashtra, and they were having the volunteer corps, and these were called as the Sevadal, and in the villages they also formed an association, and that was called as the Tufan Dal. So with the help of this Sevadal and Tufan Dal, they started ruling in their own region. So this was a kind of parallel government which could not be tolerated by the British government at that time. So what the British government did, they started a repression cycle. They tried to suppress these autonomous government which were set up during this movement, and later on it was suppressed by the government also, by the British government also. While Congress leaders were in jail, but the leaders of Muslim League were expanding their influence. So this was an opportunity for the Muslim League people, and they grabbed this opportunity because during this movement maximum Congress leaders were in jail, and that was an opportunity for the people of the Muslim League. Now they started exerting their influence upon the people, and they were expanding their influence. So in the election of 1937, Muslim League was not a major party, it was a very minor party. Even the Muslim people did not give vote to the Muslim League. But now this was the time when the Congress was engaged in the Quit India movement and maximum leaders were in the jail. So this was an opportunity for Muhammad Ali Jinnah and his followers, and they tried to expand their influence in those areas which were Muslim majority, and in this way this party became a larger party as compared to the earlier times. Now what other major development which took place during the 1945 to 47, means 2 years before the independence, what were the major development that we will discuss. First of all, in 1944, Gandhiji was released and tried to bring the Muslim League and Congress together but was not successful. Now Muslim League was not cooperating with the Congress in the struggle that was Quit India movement. So Jawaharlal Nehru and Mahatma Gandhi, they tried to bring an compromise between the Muslim League and the Congress, and it was done by Mahatma Gandhi after his release from the prison in 1944. But he could not be successful in bringing both the leaders Jawaharlal Nehru and Muhammad Ali Jinnah together. In 1945, the Labour government came to power. Earlier there used to be a conservative government, conservative party's government in England, and the head of that government was Winston Churchill, who was not sympathetic towards Indians. But now that the government was over and a new government was formed in England, and this government was of Labour Party, and they were a little bit sympathetic towards the Indians, and their Prime Minister was Wavell. So it was a little bit sympathetic, and they committed that they would grant Indian independence. So independence was promised by the Labour government of England. In India, at that time, the Viceroy of India was Lord Wavell. He was the Viceroy of India, negotiated with the Congress and the Muslim League, and he wanted to bring compromise, materialize a compromise between the Muslim League and the Congress, but his attempt was not successful because Muslim League was very rigid in its demand, and they were not ready to leave their demand of a separate nation. As a result, his attempt also failed. So Lord Wavell could not be successful. Thereafter, in early 1946, the provincial legislative elections were held. So after 1937, and the next election was held in 1946, and in which Congress won the general seats, which were not reserved seats. So the unreserved seats were totally won by the Congress, but wherever the reserved seats were there during the separate electorate, some constituencies were reserved for the Muslims, and in those Muslim reserved constituencies, now the single majority party was the Muslim League. So Muslim League won with an overwhelming majority in those areas where Muslims were in the majority. In this way, we can see that during this time of Quit India movement, Muhammad Ali Jinnah and his companion used this time to expand their influence, and as a result, the Muslim League became the sole spokesman of the Muslim people, and that was not good for India. Then another attempt was made by the government to bring the compromise between the Congress and the Muslim League, and a commission was sent in India, and that was the last commission which was sent by the government, and it was known as the Cabinet Mission, and it was sent in 1946. But it also failed to bring consensus between the Congress and the League. So a compromise could not be materialized by this mission also, that was called as the Cabinet Mission. Earlier there used to be Cripps Mission, now it was the Cabinet Mission. And the head of the Cripps Mission was the Stafford Cripps, and he was also the member of this mission. Apart from that, A.V. Alexander was there, Patrick Lawrence was there. So these were the three people who came to India, and they wanted to materialize a compromise between the Congress and the Muslim League so that India could not be divided. But this was also not successful because of the rigidity of the Muslim League. So this is the image of that Cabinet Mission, and its meeting was held in Shimla, but it also failed. Now what happened after the failure of this Cabinet Mission? This was the last attempt which was made by the Britishers to bring a resolution or bring compromise between the Congress and the Muslim League, but this could not be successful. Now, what other development were there after that? So, Jinnah called for a direct action day. So, this is Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and he called that we would have a direct action day in 1947 and 46, and it was on 16th August 1946 that they called a direct action day, and in that direct action day there was the riots between the Hindus as well as the Muslims, and a large number of Hindus were killed in that direct action day. As a result, the gap between Hindu and Muslim was widened after that, and it was believed that now these two communities cannot live together in the future. So a partition was necessary after the direct action day, and it was also realized by the British government that now India could not remain united after the direct action day. You can see from the image, this is Muhammad Ali Jinnah who called the direct action day, and you can see that these are the skeletons of the dead people who were dead during the time of the direct action day. So a large number of killing was done in the direct action day. Now Lord Wavell was replaced by the next Viceroy of India, and that was the last Viceroy of India, last Governor General of India, and it was Lord Mountbatten, and his full name was the Louis Mountbatten. He was the last Governor General of India. You can see from the image, this is Lord Mountbatten, and this is Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and this one is Jawaharlal Nehru. He also tried to bring both of these leaders together. It means he wanted to bring Muslim League and Congress together so that India should not be divided. So whether he was successful or not, that we will discuss. In February 1947, Lord Mountbatten appointed as Viceroy of India. He too held inconclusive talk and announced that India would be freed but also divided. The formal transfer of power was fixed on 15th August. So he made the last attempt to bring both the top leader, that is Jawaharlal Nehru, as well as the Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who belonged to two different parties, Muslim League and the Congress. But he also failed in his attempt, and finally he said that India would be given freedom, and final transfer of power, that was the day of freedom, would be the 15th August 1947, and India would not remain united. It would be given freedom, but there will be two countries, Pakistan and India. So India would also be partitioned. So that was also proclaimed by the Lord Louis Mountbatten. Finally, India got its freedom, and for this freedom, Gandhiji did a long struggle, as well as some other nationalist leaders. They also struggled a lot for the day of freedom, day of independence, and finally that day came, and that was the Independence Day of India. It was on 15th August 1947. So you can see that this is a procession which was organized near Lal Killa during that day, and Jawaharlal Nehru hoisted the tricolor flag on Lal Killa, and this was our first Independence Day. But we can see that Mahatma Gandhi was missing from here. So where he was, why he did not take part in this first Independence Day of India, that we will discuss. Mahatma Gandhi refused to take part in the Independence Day celebration that was held in Delhi on 15th August 1947. He was in Calcutta. So why he did not come in Delhi? First reason was that he was very pained because he did not want that India should be divided, but it was divided. So he was in grief. He was not able to tolerate this grief. As a result, he remained away from this Independence Day, and he spent his days during those days in the Calcutta or in the Bengal. He did not attend any function on that day. He did not hoist a flag in Calcutta either. Neither he was in Delhi nor he was in Calcutta in any kind of function which was organized on the first Independence Day of India. The freedom he had struggled so long for had come at an unacceptable price with the nation divided. So this was a price means India paid heavily for its independence. It was divided into two nations, and that was not accepted by Mahatma Gandhi. As a result, he remained away from any kind of function which was organized on 15th August 1947. What he did in Bengal at that time. This is an image. You can see that here Mahatma Gandhi is surrounded by some other leader. So this village is in Bengal, and this village was the Noakhali village. And Noakhali village in Bengal was the worst affected during the Hindu-Muslim riots at that time. And Mahatma Gandhi visited that village, and he met the villagers who were suffered due to the Hindu-Muslim riots. So he went there for the consolation of these common people. Gandhiji marked the day with the 24-hour fast. On the day of independence, he was on fasting. Gandhiji went around hospitals and religious camps giving consolation to the distressed people who were affected due to the riots of Hindu and Muslims. So this was the work Gandhi was doing at the time of independence. While maximum leaders of India were enjoying, they were celebrating Independence Day, but he was not celebrating Independence Day. Rather, at that time also, he was helping those distressed people who were affected due to the Hindu-Muslim riots at that time. Now we will discuss about the last heroic days of Mahatma Gandhi. So during his last days, what he did? Gandhiji had fought a lifelong battle for a free and united India, but now India was not united. It got divided into two countries. That was unacceptable for Mahatma Gandhi. When the country was divided, he asked that two parts respect and be friend on another. He wanted that after the division also, India and Pakistan should be friendly. They should live together. They should respect each other's diversity and each other's culture because they were from the same nation. But this did not happen. On 30th January 1948, Gandhiji was shot dead by a radical that was called Nathuram Godse. So from the image you can see that this is Nathuram Godse, who assassinated Mahatma Gandhi on 13th January 1948. So this is the image when Gandhiji was assassinated, and that was the last day of Mahatma Gandhi. So he martyred his life for India. His assassination was written in the world media also, and his assassination was, or his martyrdom was compared with the martyrdom of great leaders of the world like George Washington, and his death was a setback for the entire world, and it was felt all around the world. Now from where we come to know about Gandhiji and his life, so what sources we use for knowing about Gandhiji, that we will discuss here. There are different sources through which we came to know about Gandhiji, and we construct the political career of Gandhiji and history of nationalist movement. Some of the important sources are here. First of all, newspaper. Newspaper published in England as well as in different parts of India. Even Gandhiji also started many newspapers and magazines like Harijan. That was a magazine which was started by Mahatma Gandhi. So they used to write about Mahatma Gandhi and the nationalist movement which was there in India. So we come to know about his life and his character through these newspapers and magazines. And they represented ordinary Indian thoughts. Newspaper accounts, however, should not be seen as unprejudiced. So whatever newspaper reports were there, we cannot take them on their face value. So we have to be very critical while analyzing the news in the newspaper. Sometimes they are exaggerated, sometimes they are prejudiced, they cannot be unprejudiced. So whatever is written in the newspaper, that cannot be 100% true. Because if we compare the newspaper of Hindi and English which was published in India, which were the Indian newspaper, and if we compare these Indian newspaper with the British newspaper, we would come to know that a lot of difference is there. The Indian newspaper used to celebrate Mahatma Gandhi as the freedom fighter, but in the British newspaper he was condemned for his act. So on the newspaper basis we cannot make a life sketch of Mahatma Gandhi altogether, we have to be very critical and we have to be very judicious while analyzing the news which was published in the newspaper. People who had their own political opinion and working and worldview published them in the newspaper. These ideas shaped what was published and the way events were reported. So, in newspaper we also come to know about the opinion of the other people about Mahatma Gandhi. So, a true picture of Mahatma Gandhi cannot be analyzed only through the newspaper. So, there are certain limitations with the newspaper and there are certain advantages as well. So, about his public life, how much gathering was there in his movement, how many people participated in the movement, that news can be generated from the newspaper. But whether he was effective, whether he was doing the right act, whether people used to like him or not, that cannot be truly known through these newspaper. The next source to know about Mahatma Gandhi is the public voice as well as the private scripts. So whatever he gave a speech in the public, whatever he wrote for the public, through which we can come to know about his ideas and attitude. And secondly, the private letters which were written by Mahatma Gandhi to other nationalist leaders, through which we can analyze his personality. So speeches from Mahatma Gandhi and his contemporaries, including both his associates as well as his political adversaries, means those who used to be his friend as well as those who used to be against his ideology, about them we can come to know from the speeches, and these speeches also give us a glimpse of Mahatma Gandhi's personality. Private letters gave a glimpse of his private thought. Many letters are written to individual and are therefore personal, but they are also meant for the public. So Mahatma Gandhi wrote many letters and some of the letters are also given in your book. These letters were written either to Jawaharlal Nehru, Rajendra Prasad and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. So through these letters we can come to know about the personality of Mahatma Gandhi. So these were the private letters, not for the public. So we can come to know about about the personal life of Mahatma Gandhi, about his personal thinking to a great extent. But 100% that cannot be true, because these top leaders used to know that one day these letters would also become public. So there was a chance that the private letters which were written at that time by Mahatma Gandhi, they could also be released in the public on a specific day or on another day, on sometime after they would be publicized by somebody else. So if we know that whatever we are writing that could become public after some time, then we would also be courteous that what we should write and what we should not write. So we cannot write our feeling 100% truly in those letters also. So that is also a limitation. The language of the letter is often shaped by the awareness of that they may one day be publicized. So what language we will use in those letters, if we know that they would be publicized one day, so we would be courteous about the language of those letters. Mahatma Gandhi published letters written by others to him in his journal Harijan. So Harijan was a magazine which was published by Mahatma Gandhi. So he also received letters from other people like Jawaharlal Nehru and some other nationalist leaders. He published their letter in his magazine. So he was also aware that whatever he is writing today could be published after some time by somebody else. So he could be courteous while writing these letters. So we cannot know the true personality of anybody when he was aware that his letter could be published in the public on some other day. Nehru edited a collection of letters written to him by Mahatma Gandhi, and he published a bunch of old letters also. So after editing these letters, later on Jawaharlal Nehru also published the letter of Mahatma Gandhi. So these two leaders were aware that one day their letter would be published in the public. So they must have been courteous that whatever way they are writing. So they could not write their true feeling in those letters. The third source is autobiography. Mahatma Gandhi also wrote his autobiography. Autobiographies gives us an account of the past and is often rich in human detail. These are written very often from memory, what the author could recollect. So generally autobiography is written by the great leaders, but during writing these autobiography, they generally remain aware that their autobiography would be read by the thousands or lakhs of people. So they remain very courteous while using the language or while using their feeling in their autobiography. Second limitation of autobiography is that what he thought to write, which was important for him but not for all. So whatever the life events were important for a person who is writing his autobiography, that may not be that important for another person who is reading that autobiography. So whatever important things seemed for Mahatma Gandhi, they may not be that important for other people. So that may not be the truly important event. But here again we have to be careful on the way we read and interpret autobiographies. Writing an autobiography is a way of framing a picture about oneself. So this is also a truth that while we write the autobiography, so we generally write those things and we believe that how we should be looked upon by other people. So we will write accordingly. We will not write our limitations. We will not write the true feelings because we want that we should be respected in the world, and we would write only those things through which the people would respect us. So autobiographies cannot be 100% true. And secondly, that autobiography is also written from our memory. So whatever past events were there in our life, that cannot be remembered 100% by us because forgetting is also a factor. So in reading these accounts, we have to try and see what the author does not tell us. We need to understand the reason, and for that silence, those willful or unwilling acts of forgetting, the personal reasons why he chooses to omit some facts and publish others. So while reading these sources and to draw upon the personality of somebody, we have to be very courteous. We should think that whatever part of one person's life is not written in his autobiography, in his letters, or what part is not included in his life, what part of his life was not included in his autobiography, so that we have to think upon, and we should be very courteous while judging somebody's personality through these sources, because these sources are having certain advantages as well as the disadvantages. So after analyzing these three sources, we have drawn upon the image of Mahatma Gandhi, that what kind of leader he used to be. Apart from that, there were some formal sources through which we can come to know about the Mahatma Gandhi, and these were the government records. So government records, mainly the police diaries, because Gandhiji was also a criminal in many cases according to the British laws. So a lot of police report was found about Mahatma Gandhi. They were secret at the time of the British government, but when the British rule was over from India, they were released, and we came to know about the image of Mahatma Gandhi in the police records. So the letters and the reports written by the policemen and other officials were secret at that time, but now can be accessed in archives. Fortnightly reports prepared by the Home Department based on the police information, for example. So Home Department used to publish the fortnightly report, and in those reports about Mahatma Gandhi is also written, about his marches were also written, about his movements were also written. So we can shape his personality through these reports. Home Department was unwilling to accept that Gandhi's action had worked any enthusiastic response from the public. Dandi March was seen as a drama, an antic, a desperate attempt to mobilize the people. So in these police reports and Home Department's report, Mahatma Gandhi was never celebrated as the national hero. He was never celebrated as the freedom fighter. They always condemned the attempt which was made by Mahatma Gandhi, and they called these attempts as the desperate attempts, because they never accepted Mahatma Gandhi as truly nationalist leader. So it was their viewpoint. So through these sources, that is the official sources, we cannot shape a true personality of Mahatma Gandhi. But one thing which we can come to know, that is only about that what kind of cases were there against Mahatma Gandhi, how he was imprisoned and for how long he was imprisoned. So that thing we can come to know from these sources, nothing else from the official records. So that's all about Mahatma Gandhi and his movements.